All right, what's going on, athletes? I'm going to take you through one of our mobility workouts. So one of the things that I want you guys to know before we get into this, a couple of things that you'll need. You're going to need a broomstick or a hockey stick, any sort of thing that's going to work like this. And you're going to need a chair, okay? This chair is a little bit low for me for what we're going to be doing. And so ideally you guys can have a chair that's a little bit higher than this, but a chair and a broomstick or a hockey stick is what you'll need for this. And for the reps, guys, I'm going to take us through just one set of everything. But keep in mind that the sets and reps that I'm doing might be different from what you're doing depending on what week you're on. So make sure you keep an eye on the reps because they will change. Just like in strength training, how you got to progress it from week to week. Mobility, we're going to progress it from week to week. That's how your body works. It adapts slowly over time. So you're going to have to do it that way. All right. I think that's all I want to say at the beginning. Let's go through one set of everything, all right? Here's what we've got. So if you want to, you can kind of go through one at a time, pause the video after we go through it, and then go on to the next one, or just go through it all right through at the beginning, and then see how good your memory is, all right? Exercise number 1, these are all set up as supersets, all right? So you'll go through 2 exercises at a time, flip-flop for however many sets it says, and then go on to the next 2. But like I said, I'm just gonna go through one of everything. Exercise number 1, I'm gonna show you from the side here, as well as we can. I'm gonna get my foot up onto the chair, and then what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna try to mobilize the ankle. So the back of my ankle right here, your Achilles tendon especially, and things like squats or even sprinting, jumping, we want this knee to be able to come over the toe. And so that's what we're going to try to mobilize here. So this heel needs to stay down, and I'm going to push this knee as far as I can over my toe while still keeping the heel down on the chair. Okay, so heel is down, knee is as far as you can, and you should feel a stretch in the back of the ankle. All we're going to do here is we're going to hold this for 20 seconds. We're going to put 20 seconds on the clock right here. "20 seconds. That's good there. We're going to come to this other side, do the exact same thing here. Foot up on the chair. Again, this would be a little bit easier if my chair was higher. If I could have it about this high, it would make it even easier for me to do this. But we're going to make it work. So foot up on top, get this knee as far as I can over the toe, keeping my heel down on the chair. What I'm doing here to help myself a little bit actually is put my elbow on my knee to kind of force my knee forward, because I do have pretty good ankle mobility. A lot of you guys might not be able to come nearly as far. You might not even need the elbow on top of the knee, but I'm putting my elbow on top just to give me a little bit of extra force for a little bit of a deeper stretch. That's 20 seconds there. What this one is paired up with is more ankles and more of an active ankle mobility exercise. What we're going to do is we're going to go toes down, heels up, so you're as high as you possibly can get on your tippy toes, and then you're just going to walk. So I don't have that much space. I have to say about 5 meters here. I want a total of 20, so I'm going to go here and back twice to get a total of 20 meters. So I'm up as high as I can, my tippy toes. I might go slightly out of the screen here. Forwards and back as high as I can, my tippy toes, feeling those ankles and calves working. I'm going to come one more time back and forth here. And then we're going to do the opposite. So toes up, heels down. And this is going to work on the front of your ankle mobility and actually strengthening your tibialis anterior. That's the muscle on the front of your shin. That brings your toes up. Often overlooked, but again, important for all athletes here, just to keep our ankles strong and healthy. Toes up as much as you can, walking it back in. So there's your first superset, working on the ankles. From there, we're going to move on to our second superset, which is going to be focused on our hips. I am going to take a chair. You don't need a chair for this exercise, but it can be helpful. And what we're going to do, we're going to start with the foot up. This is working on our actually hip extension and hip flexion at the same time. So what we're going to be doing is you're going to be taking this foot that's up and you're going to actively raise it as high as you possibly can and actively bringing it up and holding it there for 20 seconds. So I'm going to put 20 seconds on the clock. Raise this knee up as high as I can, 20 seconds, and we're just holding it. So my knee is up as high as I can, my toe is up, and my back leg, you can have a slight bend in that knee, but we want this back knee to be pretty well straight. And I'm just gonna hold this for the 3 more seconds. And relax down. So you'll probably feel that in the back hip as you're trying to stabilize. So that's the extension part of the hip. And then you'll feel it in the hip flexor on this one that's up. Again, trying to get it actively as high as you possibly can. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna use the chair. The chair sometimes just helps for balance and sometimes as a mark of how high you can get your foot. So if you have a chair that's high enough where your foot's just barely off of the chair when you're actively bringing it up, it's kind of a good mark of, hey, I gotta keep this above the chair the whole time. Either way, actively bring this knee as high as I can for this whole 20 seconds. That's time right there. And we're gonna pair this up with a deep squat. I'm gonna find a light dumbbell, and I'm gonna show you why. So I've got literally just a 5-pound dumbbell here. This could be like a water bottle, it could be a plate, it could be anything that you have that's gonna counterbalance you. So this is just gonna be our counterbalance. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold it out in front of me, and I'm gonna come down to the bottom of my squat as deep as I can possibly go. And I'm gonna hold this for 10 seconds. Call that 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up, I'm gonna come back up. Again, this dumbbell is a counterbalance because what you're gonna see if you don't have this dumbbell is to get all the way to the bottom, we start to round. And I want us to be able to use really strong technique. And so keeping the chest upright, squatting straight down. Hopefully your ankle mobility is actually already coming into hand in this deep squat as you let your knees come over your toes here. We're gonna hold this for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back up. Notice on my way back up, it's a good squat technique. So on my way back up, I'm not doing one of these really lazy squats, but it's a good strong squat technique. We're gonna do this one more time. Holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straight back up tall. Okay. There is your second superset. Focus on the hips. From there, we're going to go into more hips, and it's hips plus. All right, we're gonna do something that's more than just the hips here, but the first one, so we're gonna get into our 90-90 position. For this one, I'm definitely not gonna be staying on this mat because it's you're gonna be moving around quite a bit. So I'm gonna move this mat forward just to help me out. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna get into this 90-90. So in this 90-90 position with my knees, my front knee comes out at 90 degrees in front. My back knee comes 90 degrees out the back. So my back thigh and my front calf are parallel to each other. That's kind of how you know if you're 90-90. Now from this position, for this exercise specifically, we actually need to bring our feet in a little bit closer. So this front knee's coming in and this back knee's coming in so that we can do our up position. So from this 90 position, you're going to come up, bring your hips through. Then you're going to come down, rotate over, and you're going to do the same thing here on this other side. Come up, down, rotate back over. That was 2 reps. We're going to go for 10. If you need to, you can definitely put hands on the ground to bring yourself down, control over, rotate over, and then bring your hips up. You bring your hands down, sit down, rotate over, and then let yourself come up. As you get better at these, you should be able to do these without your hands. controlling down from the hips, rotating over, and then coming up from there. Try to get your hips all the way through. We're gonna rotate over. Totally lost count. I'm gonna say that this is number 6. 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there's our 90-90 rock and up is what we're going to call that. Pretty simple. We're going to pair that with lunge, elbow to the floor, and then open up. So I'm trying just to name these in a way that seems pretty obvious of what you're doing. I'm going to show you guys from the front angle first. All right, so what you're going to do, you're going to come into a deep lunge here. Both hands are going to be on the ground. And then you're going to take your inside elbow. So since my right leg is forward, I'm going to take my right elbow. I'm going to reach it to the ground. You don't need to force this. So some of you can be able to touch the ground easy. Others are only going to be able to get halfway. Just go until you're feeling a bit of a stretch. From there, open up as big as you can. Come back down. Switch your feet. So one foot's going to come back, the other's going to come up. And then we do the same thing. Elbow comes towards the ground. And then you're going to open up. That was 1 rep on both sides. We're going to go until we get 5 reps on both sides. So step forward, elbow down, open up, and switch. I know for me, I'll have to start pretty tight with my elbow not being able to make it too far to the ground. But then by the end of the workout, usually both elbows are touching the ground, or at least almost touching the ground. And again, I'm not forcing it. I've actually seen people pull a hamstring or a groin muscle if they're trying really hard to get their elbow to the ground. You don't need to force this. I've lost count again. I say this is number 7. 8. 1 more on each side. When you open up, try to open up a little bit bigger each time. The last one here. Awesome. I'm sweating a little bit. This is getting me moving. So that's our 3rd of our supersets for this workout. We're going to move into our 4th and final superset. And this one is much more focused on the shoulders. So especially for you volleyball athletes, you guys can put extra intentionality into doing this one. I'm gonna switch my mat so that you guys can see from the side angle here. This first one's going to be a push-up into a downward dog. Depending on who you are, your push-up could be from the toes or from the knees. Doesn't matter which one you're doing. And then for your downward dog, you're just trying to get into the same position each time, where your hips come up and you're reaching your nose towards your toes. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'll show you first from the knees. You're gonna do that push up, and then your toes will come down, hips come up, and reach your nose towards your toes. Come back into your push up. We're gonna do this 10 times. Should feel a stretch through your lats, your shoulders, and through the back of the legs. This is number 3. I always like these ones feel great. So number 5. I'll do the push-ups from the toes now. Same idea. Good. There's 10 reps, push up into a downward dog. From there, we're gonna do our last one. You're gonna grab your broomstick now, or your hockey stick, and we're gonna go a nice wide grip. The wider you go, the easier this one will be on your shoulder mobility. And then over time, maybe you're gonna see your hands slowly start to be able to come more towards the center. So if you're tall, or if you don't have great shoulder mobility, try to find a stick that is quite long so you can have a nice wide grip. This broomstick, I'm gonna have to go right to the ends. And what you're gonna do here, you're just gonna stand up tall. We're gonna come overhead and then down and back. So this broomstick's actually a little bit too small for me. Oh, I just took the cap off. It's actually a little bit too small for me because as you can see here, my elbows are bending just to get it over my head. Ideally you don't bend your elbows when you do this one. I'll show you from the side angle here. We're gonna come over, down and back, and then back overhead again. It's okay to get a little bit of a bend in the back in order to do this, but primarily you're trying to get this movement from your shoulders. We're gonna do this 10 times. Again, you're seeing my elbows bend quite a bit for this one, but ideally you can just move with a wider grip if you have a longer broomstick and be able to keep your elbows much more straight. I unfortunately do not have a longer broomstick. See, that's number 9, I think, and 10. There we go. So there's one set of each superset for this mobility workout, guys. Hopefully that all made sense to you. If you have any questions or if you're really struggling with something, again, feel free to reach out to me. Be happy to help. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.